Hi, and welcome to another episode of Fresher Take. My name is Becki.
My name is Ben.
And today we are joined by a very special guest.
Hi, I'm Jess, and I'm a second year creative advertising student.
So in this episode, we are going to talk about staying positive. Obviously, a lot has changed for a university student during the pandemic. And, you know, there are new pressures, new worries. A lot of us are doing blended learning. So half of it's remote and half of it's going in, or some people have just remote learning. So a bunch of new things have been popping up for us to be dealing with, as well as things like socializing has changed completely. And you may not be able to see your friends as much or in the same settings or in the same amounts as you usually do. So, of course, everyone handles these things differently, and it is important to make sure that you are looking after yourself during these times. We're going to be discussing three main topics surrounding staying positive. So, returning to university, trying to remain positive, and setting goals and plans for the future, which I think personally have harder to envision in this new pandemic-esque world. And so we're going to talk about how to do that. A lot of what we'll be speaking about will be about self-care, caring for yourself, making sure that you are, you know, in the right frame of mind and that you're staying safe and healthy and mentally well and everything like that. So let's kick off with the return to university then.
The return to uni for me was a bit weird. I think that's an understatement, really, saying that it was weird. A lot of, obviously, understanding that blended learning thing for me was really, really weird, because obviously I've gone from doing media production to doing an MA in journalism. So going from, you know, sort of being in a team environment all day, every day, 5 days a week for 3 years, now everything being a lot more personal to you and understanding that you don't have to rely as much on other people was really, really strange. But once you get over that, I think the return to uni, I think we've been quite lucky at Lincoln in the fact that everything has sort of gone quite smoothly, I think.
Yeah.
You know, there's not been any, you know, mass outbreaks and, you know, things that have had to change or rules have had to change. Like a lot of the stuff that was enforced when we started uni again in, you know, September, October has remained the same. So I think that has taken the load off of students quite a lot in terms of having to, you know, sort of not have to worry about that certain aspect of uni.
Yeah, I agree with that. I found it strange, but mine was slightly different because on my course, obviously, pretty much all of our briefs are group work. So we still had to do group work, but trying to do it over Teams and stuff. So
yeah,
that was a bit of an interesting hurdle to get over initially. But actually, I didn't like Teams at first, but I have grown to be quite fond of it now that I've worked out how to actually use it.
See, I just like the idea that you can do group work in your pajamas. That's my personal
Yeah.
favourite thing. If you
Yeah,
don't have to, you can turn your camera off and go, yeah, I'm not feeling it today.
All your 9 a.m s. You don't even have to leave your bed for your 9 a.m s now.
It's great. The commute is about 30 seconds. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. For my course, we don't have a lot of group work, but I live in a house where everyone does the same course as me. So there's always, you know, a little bit of help there if I should ever need it. But our course has relatively stayed the same. So we have lectures online on Teams, and then we have seminars in person. I think what I struggled with most at first was engagement. So actually engaging in the lectures online when you've got so many distractions and, you know, your phone's right there and there's no one looking at you, you're not in a massive lecture hall, you know. I think that's what I struggled with at first the most, was actually getting in frame of mind where I was actually engaging with what was happening and listening to the work and everything like that. Luckily, they record things and they put PowerPoints online and everything like that. So if you do find yourself, you know, having a bit of a day, then you can go back and look through it and make sure that your notes are up to scratch and everything like that. But I think that was what I probably found the most challenging to begin with, was just really getting involved and being engaged with the content that was being presented.
Yeah, it's the classic example of you're not in like a direct learning environment. You're not in that direct place that can allow you to almost force yourself to do the work. And I agree with you. Like sitting there in a lecture when, you know, it's very just one person talking to a group of people. It's so easy just to go, yeah, let's turn the camera off, get the phone out, please someone agree with me, because I don't want to be the only person. I don't
Yeah,
want to
right.
out with myself.
You're right.
Okay, cool.
It's way easier to just get us, like, even now, like your phone, you can just have it like down here and no one really knows. Especially,
It's great.
my biggest giveaway is when I'm wearing my glasses, it obviously reflects. So
Yeah.
but like if you don't wear glasses, no one knows that you're like looking at your phone.
It's not coming up in my glasses at the minute. Am I doing all right? I think so.
You're all right.
Has anyone resorted to the good old Zoom quizzes yet?
I've actually used Zoom more for lectures and stuff than I have socializing, which is a bit sad.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, a lot of my friends are, because obviously you commute in now, don't you, Ben?
Yes, I
It's
do.
a bit different. Whereas a lot of my friends, like I said, I live with 3 of them, and then we're in a very close quarter to each other. So
You got all your mates around you and stuff. That was
yeah,
the one thing that I hated about graduating, was that obviously all my mates now have gone dispersed across the UK. You've got people in like sort of near me in like Yorkshire and down in London. It's like, you know, it's not that easy just to go, right, boys, do you fancy going to the pub or something, you know? Obviously for you, you're really lucky because you've got your friends with you. And
just there, yeah, just.
but I think that's a big learning curve for a lot of people, especially people that are now commuting in or have graduated. And I think the coronavirus has given us a different perspective on learning. Maybe more for me personally, but like, I knew that there were no jobs going, so I thought, let's use this chance to better myself and become more employable, enhancing myself ready for when all this hopefully ends.
What are some things that you guys do then to keep yourself staying positive? If you find yourself in a bit of a slump or in a bit of a negative mindset, is there anything that you know that helps you personally?
For me, it's got to be like chatting to my friends, even if obviously at the minute it can't be in person. You know, even a dreaded big group Zoom call is better than nothing at the minute. So just like, if you're really in that space where you just feel like really rubbish, often you feel better after you've spoken to your friends and like distracted yourself and everything else. So yeah, I'm finding, even though it can be very tempting to just kind of disengage from the world because you can at the minute, kind of even forcing yourself just to socialize, even if you're not really in the mood to do it, has sort of improved it for me, I think.
That's really good, actually. Like, because I'm the classic. I'm the opposite of, if I'm having a bad day, I'm in a position now. Obviously, I wasn't when I was living with my friends and that. I'm at a position now where I can go, yeah, I'm just going to sit and watch Netflix for a couple of hours. Whereas I think, how would you say that's helped you though?
If you've got the right kind of mates, if you haven't got the motivation for yourself, they'll kind of give you some. They'll give you a bit of a kick up the bum if you need it. If I need it, they will do it for me and like help, you know, push me a bit.
Oh,
I think exactly the same. I found it really hard to get motivation to do uni work. So specifically my dissertation, I have really been putting it off, and I've just struggled. I don't know why. Like it's not something that I've ever really experienced before, but I've just really struggled to get the motivation to do it, to start writing, to actually get my thoughts and things down onto a page. And one of my mates like suggests like study sessions like over FaceTime or whatever. Like before, obviously we could meet up and everything like that, but now it's different. But when we do that, I know that I'll work because I know that he's also working, and so I will sit down and actually get to it because I kind of have someone that's like, Becca, make sure you're not, watching Netflix for 4 hours. I like to take breaks, and those breaks last half a day, and then suddenly, I've not done anything. So I think things like that, finding ways to, or people who can help improve your mindset just by doing little things as well.
It's hard. It's hard to force yourself to do it when, like you said, you sat there and you're like, I can't go to the library, or I can't have I mean, obviously you can because you live with your friends, but like having a study session and stuff is so much harder because when you're over Zoom and stuff, I always find that you just end up talking, especially because you've not seen each other for a long time. I did 200 words a day. 200 words a day, yeah. Because if you work it out, your dissertation isn't due until like March, April time. Yeah, so if you work it out, if you do 10,000 divided by 200 words, that'll tell you how many days it'll take you. But then when you say, for example, you have this flurry of motivation, you go, right, I'm going to do 1,000 words today. You've then done almost 5 days worth of work in an hour.
Who always writing 1,000 words in an hour?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a really, really bad example, but you know what I mean? Like if you set yourself them goals of I'm just gonna little goals, like baby steps. I'm gonna do 200
Yeah,
words a day.
I get what you mean. I think it's just about finding what works for you, isn't it? Like, I keep a very tidy living workspace. I have set my room up because I've got quite a large room, so I set it up where I've got like a little study nook, like a nook where my desk is in, and it's completely separate from my bed and everything like that. And I just find for me it helps me separate those two sort of like loungy and work modes. So I don't work on my bed at all. I make sure I work at a desk or a table or something like that, and I think that just really sets me up in a certain mindset to study and things like that. I also have this problem of comparing myself to how other people are doing, or
Oh,
to
it's
how
the worst.
people are like handling a situation. For example, everyone's doing their dissertation. I keep asking, like, where are you? How far are you? What have you done? How have you got? Like, you have to take a step back and like, especially in things like social media where people are posting things, and it's very easy for that to get you down and for that to put you in a bad mindset and in a bad mood altogether. And so I really think you should just take stock of things like social media and make sure that what is on your feed and what is on, what you see every day isn't negative and dreary, or it isn't going to put you in a bad mindset, because that can really set you up for.
No, I agree with that. It's like you always feel mean, even if it's someone you don't know online, to unfollow them when they've not done anything wrong. But if like you said, you're constantly looking at them and comparing how you're doing compared to them, especially if they're like your age or something, and you're finding it's making you feel bad, just take a break and unfollow them, because I think you'll find a lot of the time as well, you feel a lot better because you're not constantly worrying about how you've not achieved all these things, but you're doing fine anyway. But you just think that because someone else seems to be doing amazing, you're doing rubbish, even if that's not the case.
Yeah, I keep seeing those memes and like those gifs and like those tweets and stuff of like, oh, I did this, this, and this. What have you done during the pandemic? And I think those are such horrible tweets. Like, they're so bad, and I don't think people realize what a bad sort of mindset that is to be in. Like, you don't know people's situations, you don't know what people have gone through.
You can't really win, I think, on social media, because if you post something that you're proud of, I think someone is always going to look at it and go, well, why am I not doing? Which it's not a bad thing. Like, for example, if for example, Becki, you've just got your dream job in this PR company or whatever, whilst that is an amazing thing, I think people are always going to go, well, why am I not doing that? Why am I not?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time, like, you got to understand that life isn't all about what other people are doing compared to you. Like, you're at a completely different stage in your life. Everyone blossoms and develops at different times. You can look at it in two ways. You can look at it either as, I want to do that. I want to do that. I'm going to try and crack it somehow and apply that to your situation. But then on the other side of the scale, you automatically can take stock of yourself and go, why am I not like that? And I think it's just natural human habit to question yourself. And I think it's important to understand, especially when trying to stay positive on social media. Yes, some people are doing better than you. That's just how it is. People my age now have got, contracts with some of the biggest media companies in the world, and are doing amazing freelance work. And you don't want to blur your vision with what other people are doing, because as long as you've got a path and you know exactly, right, I want to go from here to here, just use everyone else as inspiration. And I know that's really, really hard to say, and it's because we've literally just said it's the worst thing. Social media is the best and worst thing. But I think from a lad's point of view, and someone who's quite stubborn and quite I'm very, very stubborn. Realistically, you're doing your own thing, pal. Do you know what I mean? You do your thing. You stay in your lane. You have a cracking time. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do my thing. And if I can draw inspiration from you, great. A lot of it is, like you said, Becki, sort of just life goals. And it's like, don't compare yourself to other people, if that makes sense. I've gone a bit of a rant, but I think in a roundabout way, it sort of makes sense.
It's a very passionate topic for Ben. I think I get what you're saying. It's stay on your own track. You're on your own track.
Yeah.
You know where you're going. And if certain of these things motivate you to, do some work or do anything like that, that's grand. But if you find that these sort of things are really making you feel down, then make sure you know, that maybe you're not following them, or maybe you hide their posts or something like that. Some different things will work for different people, and that it's all about finding that balance and everything like that. But you also have to make sure that you are not just working. I know so many people. My friend, he's doing a master's, and he just seems to work all the time, 24/7 is all he seems to do. And then he like stresses out and everything like that. And I'm like, you're really gonna burn out. You're going to burn yourself out. Take breaks. It's allowed. I promise you, it is allowed. You are allowed to think of other things other than university. And as much as it sounds a bit weird, university is not your entire life. Yes, you are here to get a degree. Yes, you wish to do as well in that degree as you possibly can, but this is not the only thing in your life. It's not the only thing in your world. So it's okay to switch off, you know, to just chill, to watch some Netflix, to speak to your friends, to have a day or two or whatever, to do
a day or two or three or four,
to do whatever you want, whatever makes you feel happy, and not have to constantly, consistently think about doing uni work.
It sort of links in perfectly to what I was literally about to say of like, because I, feeling positive, I do a lot of exercise to feel positive. I think a lot of people don't realize or underestimate, I think, the power of exercise in feeling positive. And it's the same, exercise is the same thing as what you've just said, Becki, about taking breaks and stuff. You need to understand what your body wants and what your body doesn't want. You know, if you're sat there going, if you've been sat there looking at an essay going, I don't know what I'm doing, your brain is telling you just to pack it in for a day. And it's the same with exercise. Like, whilst, yes, it releases, you know, endorphins and you feel great, and it is good to feel in physical good shape as well, because that will allow you to become more motivated and more positive about yourself, not only because you feel good, but you're in a position where you can, you know, do anything. Both of them things tie in really well to just understanding how you feel, how your body and mind works. And I think that's the same with work. You know, you can sit there and you go, I'm going to do this essay in a week, but your mind won't let you sometimes. Sometimes, if you're really lucky and you're one of them people that I'm really jealous of, you can do work in like 2-3 days. But having that ability to be able to say, listen, I'm out for today, throw the towel in for today. It's the same thing with exercise as it is work. 'Cause I guess they're both like mental exercises and physical exercises.
What I found as well is because a lot of the work is online and I'm working from my house, it's a lot harder to sort of separate work and relaxing for me. Whereas when I walked to uni, I knew when I was in uni, I was working. Whereas I think even like Becki, you said, like having a separate space to work, it still can be quite difficult to sort of switch off when you know you could keep going, even if your brain and your body is saying, no, let's stop now. It's very tempting to just sort of try and push through and carry on, even if that's not necessarily the best thing to be doing in the long run.
Was it you, Becki, that said that you'd found a love for yoga or meditation or something?
Oh yeah.
How's that going?
Really got into the yoga. I've been exercising quite a lot recently, actually, because I just found that for me, I like the break. I like getting out and doing something. Like just before this, I went for a cycle. I like cycling, so I like being on my bike and going around and like riding across the river. And it's just something I've really got into recently, like getting back into exercise and having that break and having that time away and using it to clear my mind and just put music on and go. And it's just a break in the day where I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about my dissertation. I'm not thinking about, am I going to have a job after uni?
Nice. So you've replaced yoga now with biking.
With biking, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Jess? Are you? I'm just gonna go. I'm
gonna bring it down. I'm like, no. I in the first lockdown, I think everyone went through that phase where like we all just got really into like fitness and at-home workouts and stuff.
Everyone did 5K.
Everyone was doing
did a 5K.
So like during that time, I totally like jumped on the trend and was doing it. But now, I guess it still counts. But I'm not like a proper, you know, exercise freak. But I'll go for a walk if I feel like you said, Becki, like, you know, you just need a bit of a break from your work and stuff. Best way to do it for me is just getting out of the house, like listen to a podcast or like having just your headphones in, listening to music, going for a walk, even if it's just around the block for 10 minutes. I found it's just a really good way to sort of clear your mind and you just feel a lot less stressed.
A personal trainer that I follow, she was talking about how if you're working from home and like you said, just walking around the block and stuff, force yourself to commute to work. So, for example, say if you start work at 9:30, like 15, 20 minutes before, go for a walk, because then you've commuted to work. But then once you've finished work, you have to walk back home. So it forces you to do like minimum of like 40 minutes exercise a day.
And that's good.
Yeah, I've been implementing that because obviously all the gyms are shut and stuff, and I can't bother to go for a run. I'll do that. I'll do the commuting setup, and you end up either doing walking loads more, because I think I went for like a 40-minute walk instead of a 20-minute walk, but it was, it doesn't matter. I think if you give yourself that little structure, you've given yourself that time to do the exercise, but it's not taken, like I said, like an hour out of your day.
We touched on like thinking ahead then, plans. We touched on, Ben and I being absolute scared to go into the working world when we get booted out of the university circuit.
I'll just do another undergrad. I'll do another undergrad. I'll just keep doing it until...
I'll just keep going. So we talked about that, about, obviously Ben and I have had to be realistic and set ourselves goals and make plans that are semi-achievable during this time. What are some of your tips then for doing that? Because I think having a goal to work towards and then being able to like tick it off or something when you've achieved that even is really beneficial for your mental health and for staying positive, because then it's like, oh my God, I did it. Now go on to the next thing. Oh my God, I did it. That I just really enjoy ticking things off.
I agree with that. Like, even I love a list. If I have things to do, I love writing a list of it. And like getting to tick things off, maybe this is just me, but like getting to tick things off is really satisfying to me.
Yeah.
So if you make them like some of them quite easy, like I don't know, make your bed when you get up, you're going to feel satisfied that you've ticked something off your list, even if it's not a big task. So I'd say probably if you're struggling a bit in that sense, start with like quite small, relatively easy things and then build your way up. Don't try and go in at the deep end with like the one thing you've been putting off and go, I'm going to do this at the start of my day, because you're probably just not going to do it at all. So like just sort of build your way up and like make it very manageable and like break it down into little chunks, I think.
So God, see, I when you said, oh, I love doing lists and stuff, I actually have a list here on a small post-it note. I don't know if you can see, but I've actually only ticked off 2 things. Well, it's now 3 things. And I started this on Sunday, so I'm not great at lists. I'm not great at lists. So my advice would be,
you can have a long-term list. Lists don't have to be short-term.
A long-term list of do the presentation that's due in about 2 weeks. It's not long-term, Becki. Until it's done. No, it doesn't say that. It says I have to work out my savings. So
Fun.
Adult stuff. But I think for me, I like the thought of long-term goals. I'm going to go back to what I was saying earlier about that path to where you want to go. Like,
yeah,
I really am more satisfied looking at that than I am a list of make your bed and stuff. Again, just personal preference. I guess I think it's just the way my brain is wired and the way that I work.
I get what you're saying. I think I'm weirdly somewhere in the middle between the two.
Of course you are. There we go. Perfect podcast. One that's one end, one that's one that's in the middle.
I know things that I've got to do, and when I do the little things and I get them off, I tick them off in my mind. I'm like, yes, like the short-term things, like, do these notes or make sure I send that email or do that, blah, blah, blah. I have that. But I also have long-term ones. So I know what I want to do within the next year and where that is hopefully going to take me in the next year after that. And then I know from there, the stepping stones, a path that will take me to where I ultimately want to be. Some things work for people, some things don't. Like I know some people that absolutely hate making lists. Some people just like to see where things take them. They have general goals and like where like things that they want to see themselves doing, but not really a plan set out for them. And that works for some people. It works for some people to see what different routes they can take to achieve that same goal. It doesn't work for me, but I wish I could be so carefree, but I'm not. So it really just does depend on, again, everything, different strokes for different folks, I suppose.
Yeah, no, that's right. Different. I mean, that's slightly, it's whatever floats your boat, isn't it? But different strokes for different folks works. I think it's important to know as well that, sort of leading on what you said, Becki, is that it's okay not to have a plan as well. It's okay to have no idea what you want to do in the future. It's okay to just take every day as it comes and go, yeah, that's yeah. I wish I was that carefree.
I just live my life somewhere in the middle between I need my plan, I'm not on track with my plan, or I am on track with my plan, and then I'm like,
Yeah. I think that's a good mix, though, having that one day of going, I'm going to do nothing, and then one day of going, I'm going to do everything because I've got to pick up the slack, stress. I think that's just natural. I don't know about you, because I know you, Jess, you seem very, very switched on, very
I
on
seem
it.
like I've got everything together when I don't.
Hey, fake it till you make it. It's how I live my life. But like
Okay.
whenever like I speak to you over like message and stuff, you're always like, right, I can't do this time because I've already got this booked up, but I can do this time and this time. And I'm like, how are you?
No, that's because my memory is like a goldfish. So if I don't write everything down that I'm doing for the week, I'll be sat down and I'm going, there's something I need to do, but I can't remember what that thing is. So then I'm stressed.
Yeah.
I remember
Okay.
what I'm stressed about. So I just have to I need to know, right, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, like what I'm doing for the day. Otherwise, it all goes wrong.
It's an interesting dynamic because obviously we all live in different environments and different situations. I think understanding that we have three quite interesting points of view may help. Trying to be relatable and all that sort of stuff. In
Trying to be relatable.
that you've got all your friends there, so you're able to not only be social but also academically be quite strong because you've got that support system.
Yeah.
You are in a situation, Jess, where obviously you're doing your thing, he's doing his thing, but together you make quite a good balance. And I've just got to fend for myself. I think it's quite a good
Shares
dynamic to
here
have.
for Ben.
Yeah, pray for Ben. No, it's fine. I enjoy it.
I would like to say again, if you are really struggling past the point of like your friends and your family and our lovely podcast can't help you, then we do have the Wellbeing Centre here at the University of Lincoln who offer, support, professional support. They actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's more than just their opinions and their experiences like it is with us here. Don't feel bad or get down upon yourself if you are going through those periods and those moments. Everyone has them. It sounds cliche, but it's okay not to be okay all the time. No one ever is. And just make sure you are looking after yourself and you're looking after each other during this time. Again, as usual, a bit of shameless self-promotion. Student Life are putting out a bunch of videos and podcasts and articles. And you can stay in touch with us across all of our social media. So we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. That's it. And of course, the website. So all of our handles are at UOL Student Life. And then you can also check out the website as well. Type that into Google and you can have a little browse of everything. We also have an app. Take a look, check out Student Life and see for more help and support and advice and everything like that. Thank you to Jess for coming on and joining us this episode. Until the next time, I have been Becki.
I've been Ben.
And we'll see you on the next Fresh Take.
Bye.
Bye.